Okay, let's do this.
Cheers.
Welcome to
cheers.
Montreal.
Thank you, man. Long time no see.
I think you don't have water. There's no water there.
Yeah,
But
it's okay.
okay?
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
So when did you arrive in Montreal?
Arrived Montreal 2 days ago.
2 days ago.
Friday, about 5 p.m.
Mm-hmm. So you left Montreal for next 3 years already,
Yes.
right? And when you come here, do you find something different in Montreal?
Not really.
So Montreal, after 3 years, everything is still the same.
Actually, on the way, because I stay in Brussels, South Shore, my guitar teacher's place.
Yeah.
Because I've been there many times, so I didn't pay attention to the view outside because I've been living here many years. So on the way, I was reading my ebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. But overall, you think you find Montreal is not changing too much during the past 3 years, right?
I didn't pay attention, but no.
Usually, some people, especially my other Chinese friends, they will say, for example, when they go to China for a year, and they usually will say in China the city and other things they change a lot during 1 year or 2 years, but comparing to Montreal doesn't really change too much during 3 years.
Yeah.
And China is changing very fast, but Montreal is kind of staying there. So what do you think about Singapore?
Yeah, I think one of the main reasons is Montreal. It is already the Canada in general is a very developed country, right?
Yeah.
So
But Singapore is also kind of like developed country.
actually, ironically, Singapore it is a developed country, but it is only founded about 60 years ago.
Yeah.
Very new country,
Yes.
and they don't have much history, but every year they change a lot.
Oh, really?
The size of the Singapore is similar to Singapore. No, Singapore is similar to Montreal. Very small island.
Yeah.
It
And
is.
they're both islands. Singapore is
they are
also an island.
also
Montreal is
both
also an island.
But
And they have similar sizes.
Yeah, but the geographic location is very different.
Yeah.
If you look at the map, Singapore is like in the middle of the east and the west.
Yeah.
So the geographic location is very different.
Yeah.
The people there, they work very hard.
Okay.
The
You mean harder than people here in Montreal?
much harder.
Okay.
And why? Because they don't have any natural resources. The only resources they have, it is people. So they have to work very hard, otherwise they will die.
Yeah.
So they don't have any resources. They don't even have water. They import water from Malaysia and so many other things from other places. And I read one article. It's quite funny. It says the living expenses, how many years people live, right? Singapore actually it is the top 3 in the world.
The living
And-
expense?
Expense.
Okay.
Life expectancy. How many years they can live.
Okay.
So it is actually top 3 in the world. Life expectancy. So the reason is another 2. It is Switzerland and the Japan.
Japan, yeah.
The common thing of these 3 countries, all of them do not have natural resources. So the people.
But perhaps Singapore is the worst.
Yeah.
Because Japan is much larger and Sweden is much larger than Singapore.
Yeah, exactly. But they're all compared to Canada, right?
Yeah, of course.
They don't have much natural resources, so people need to work very hard to.
Yeah.
So if you retire at 70, your mind always you need to work. So I think that's one factor to contribute. That's why they live so long.
You mean the work?
They, Yeah, they work a lot. Yeah.
And they retire. Do they
Later.
retire or no?
They do retire, but later than
Later.
yeah, I don't know, 5 years later than Canadian
So
people.
for example, you saw or you know many people, they still work when they are in their, for example, 60s.
Yes,
It's
60
still
or
working.
even 65.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, if you go to the some food center,
Mhm.
some even supermarket,
Mhm.
you can see some very old people. They
Okay.
still working.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why do they? So why they are working? What's the reason?
Because
of their age?
from the in general, they don't have that much good welfare system. The government, they won't give them
Really?
that much money after
I see.
they retire, so they have
So
to
it's not
work.
as good as in Canada.
Definitely
think?
not that good.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh.
but it's not that good, but it's good in another way, right?
It's better than China, for example. Do you think it's better than China?
The welfare system,
Yeah.
it is definitely.
Okay.
Right now, I mean, compared
Mhm.
to the majority of
Yeah,
Chinese, yeah.
So it's somewhere in between China and Canada.
Exactly, it
Okay.
is also the political
Mm-hmm.
system. Singapore is like the location is also in the
Mhm.
middle of
Mhm.
the west and the east.
Mhm.
Even the culture
Mhm.
and everything is like in the
mixture.
middle mix of the two.
Okay.
For example, the population,
Mhm.
70 or around 70% of population they are Chinese,
Mhm.
but the official language
Mm.
is not Mandarin.
It's
The
English.
It's English
Mhm.
because the founding father of the Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew,
Mm.
he said Singapore is they won't depend on China only.
Mhm.
They will more depend on the rest of the world.
Mhm.
And right now English is the
World
common
language.
language
Yeah.
in the world.
Yeah.
Then I think it is very good policy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
So talk about the language, right? This, and also the political system.
Mhm.
Maybe it is unknown to most of people. A lot of people maybe think Singapore it is a democratic
country.
country.
Mhm.
It is kind of democratic country. They have two parties,
Mhm.
but the ruling party since the founding of the
Mhm.
Singapore 60 years ago it's the same. It is a People Action Party.
Okay.
It is founded by Lee Kuan Yew.
So it's kind of like a one-party government.
Yeah, it is like one party. They do have a opposite party,
Mhm.
but they don't really have much power.
Okay.
Yeah. In the Western country won't
Mhm.
criticize Singapore that much. The reason is they are too small. They don't care. But
Okay.
for example, in China,
Mhm.
they will criticize China a lot.
Well, of course, because Singapore, I guess, it will never be a competitor to, for example, US, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's so small. So yeah, but China potentially it can become a competitor to US or to Europe.
Yes,
Right,
yes.
yeah. So what about your personal life there?
My personal life,
Yeah.
talk about my work.
Mhm.
Actually, I work as the same company when I was in Canada.
Mhm.
I apply
The same company.
the same
Okay.
company,
Mm.
the global
So do you
headquarters.
feel it's the same? Everything is the same.
No,
when you work
it's
in Singapore versus in Montreal.
It's very different.
It's very different.
It's
Although you're in the same company, you still feel it's very different.
Yeah, yes, very different.
So what's the difference?
In Canada in general,
Mhm.
even in my company,
Mhm.
we have more work-life balance.
Mhm.
So I will do my work. After I finish my work, I left the company, right? It should be okay. It is by role, right? I finish my work. I leave, for example, from 8:30 to 5:30. But in Singapore,
You overwork a lot, or no?
Yes, and it is like a habit for everyone. Even they finish work, they still stay there. I don't know why. And at the first several days, I finish my work on time. For example, I left at 5:30, right? Then my manager asked me,
"Why do you leave so early?
Why do you leave so early? Your boss are still here."
Okay. Yeah.
But I already finished my job, right?
Yeah.
People, they try to stay there a little bit late, then
And the manager.
A little bit late than the official working hours.
Okay.
Like for example, at 8:30 to 5:30, right? Even sometimes they already finish the work at 5:30. But if they see their boss still there, they maybe still
a little longer
there, or they don't leave.
I see. So usually, what time do you finish your work? Usually
5:30. So
yeah, but do you leave 5:30 or no?
actually, later I learned I always leave like 10 minutes after my boss.
So
After my boss, you know.
Yeah, but what time do your boss usually leave?
So she has live very far away. So usually she leave about our working hour is from 8:30 to 5:30. So she usually leaves around 5:30, 5:35.
So that's totally fine.
Yeah. So I leave at
in Montreal, you can also leave at, maybe some people also leave at 5:35, maybe even 6.
Yeah, but the thing is, she need to catch her bus. Otherwise, if she miss her bus, so they will wait another half an hour.
Yeah, I understood. But then in that case, you will leave. You said you will stay for like 10 minutes longer. So
just pretend.
I know, but then so you will leave maybe around 5:40 or 5:50.
Yeah, exactly. That's my trick.
But that seems acceptable, right? I mean, in Montreal, as far as I know, some people in Montreal, when they work, maybe their like off-time work time is also 5:30, but maybe they also leave at like 5:40 or 5:50. Sometimes they do also work overtime, right?
The thing is, they do that because they.
But just earlier you said in Singapore people overwork a lot. I thought it would be like you leave maybe after 8 p.m.
I talk about
like
the different cultures. They pretend to sometimes they pretend to work hard.
Okay.
But actually, it's like a culture. They already finish work, but you need to pretend you still work a little bit late.
Okay.
You should not leave earlier than your boss, right?
I see.
But I mean, in general, in Canada, if you finish work, people won't care that much about what time you leave the office.
Okay. I see.
And also,
So just to clarify one thing, so actually in Singapore, like in your company, you don't actually work overtime a lot.
No,
right?
no.
Okay.
Yeah, it is Canadian company, so
for, let's say, for most of the time, you definitely can leave before 6.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It is a Canadian company. Still, has more work-life balance. So in China, right? It is very common to
work overtime.
They call about 996, right?
Yeah.
It is from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and 6 days.
6 days a week. Yeah.
It's quite normal in China, but Singapore is the work pressure is in the middle of the west and the east.
Okay.
Yeah.
So typically people still work like just until 5 or 6, and they will leave.
Yes.
Okay.
The life there is actually quite good for most of people.
Okay.
And also just one thing, you hear me, I talk about the boss, right? In Canada here, you just call the name John, Steve, whatever, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But there, people like to say boss because it's like they are really in upper class.
It means more hierarchical.
Yeah, it's more hierarchical.
Okay. So for example, how do you call your boss? Like Mr. Boss or something?
No, I call her name.
You call her name.
But because
So you're not following the rule.
at the beginning. Right now, I may make some joke. Yeah, this is my boss. My boss is really strict. Something.
But in your company, you still just call her name.
Yeah, call her name.
And your colleagues also just call her name. Call her by her name.
Call her name. Yeah, but sometimes colleague call some other director or VP. They will say, "Hi, boss."
Oh, okay. I see.
In Canada, you will never call your boss, right?
Yeah. Perhaps. Yeah. I have never worked in Canada, so I don't know.
Yeah, but
okay. So talk about the work. Do you make the same money as you worked here in Montreal?
Actually, that is another main reason I moved to Singapore. The salary it is about the same.
Okay.
But the tax is zero, almost zero.
Ah, okay.
The whole year I pay.
So there is no tax in Singapore.
No.
Oh. Okay.
No. So in Canada you pay about 20 or 30%, right?
Yeah.
So when I was in Canada, I leased a car. I rented my own apartment. I barely have any saving.
Okay.
But in Singapore, I do have saving
you
right
save
now.
a lot.
Not really a lot, but compared to before, right?
I see.
My lifestyle changed.
Because there is no tax. That's the main reason.
That is main reason.
Oh,
And also another reason is right now I don't own car.
Okay.
And that's also one thing about Singapore. Singapore, by population density, it is actually the most dense, I think, in one of the dense city in the world. But it is not really crowded.
Okay.
But even it is not, they have very good public transport system. But the government, they try to encourage people to take public transport. They don't encourage you to own your own car.
I see.
So owning a car is super expensive in Singapore. For example, you buy your car about a new one. How much here in 25K in Canada, right? The same car in Singapore, it says about the car, the price itself is okay, about 25 to 30K, the same car. But in order to get the plate or license, you need to pay another 50,000.
50,000?
Yeah, it is true. And
it's more than the price of the car.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you only allowed to drive for 10 years. So after 10 years, you need to pay another 50,000.
I see.
So in that way, they force people to take public
transportation.
Yeah.
So that must mean the public transportation in Singapore is very good.
It's very good.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I mentioned to you before, when they found Singapore, right? They asked 16 socialists to design the whole society.
Okay.
It make the society more harmonious. In Singapore, they have like downtown, like Montreal, a lot of hierarchy, big buildings.
Yeah.
But the majority of population, they live in a starlight city, like small cities among those, among center. So then they have good. They call it MRT. MRT, mass rapid transportation system. It's like a metro here in Montreal to connect to each other. It's very convenient.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you enjoy living there?
I enjoy. At the beginning.
Did you enjoy living there?
At the beginning, no.
At the beginning, no.
It's so hot.
Ah, okay.
And sorry, can I have more water? It's really